In a moment, I'll be putting up an unsafe scenario, and you've got to decide which is the best way to go forward to prevent the scenario developing further into an unsafe condition. And you've got 4 choices, A, B, C, or D. You've got to choose the best way forward, only one choice. Now, you may be watching this on your own. If that's the case, please, some good thinking about why the best scenario is the best and why the other 3 are not so good. If you're in a safety meeting with others, if you're in a bigger safety event, please, with some colleagues next to you on the table, wherever you are, have a good discussion about what is the best way forward. It's in the discussion that you learn from people. So we'll have some fun. You can relax a bit. There's no role plays, there's no difficult questions, but please don't relax up here. We have to think about how much risk we take and how that leads us into difficulty and what we should do to change. So all we need is about 2 or 3 minutes to have a look at the scenarios, and then we'll have another discussion. So here comes scenario number 1. Good. Now, the case study you've just seen is based on a real situation where a guy was working at a distant work site. He'd been 4 nights in a row late for his evening meal, and he got so upset and so angry, he bashed ahead, was rushing, and he cut the top of his finger off. So it was based on a real situation. And imagine if you were in that situation, in this scenario, what should you do? Now, we're not asking what would you do? We're asking, what should you do? What's the best thing that you should be doing in this situation to stop the tip of the finger being chopped off? So let's look at the 4 options and see which one maybe ties up the best. Let's look at A. Ask the supervisor if you can do the job tomorrow. Now that makes sense, doesn't it? From the supervisor's point of view, if one of your guys comes to you and says, look, I'm worried about this, it's getting late, blah, 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 please can we go and have dinner? Yes, fine. So the supervisor is listening to his or her people's concerns. From your point of view, why not? If there's no rush, why not leave it till tomorrow? That's the safe thing to do. So A seems pretty good to me. B, hurry up and get it finished and work as safely as possible. Hurry up and work as safely as possible. The 2 don't tie up, do they? Hurrying means you're rushing. You're not thinking. Where's your mind? Your mind's not here. Your mind's at the food. So hurrying up isn't good. Working efficiently is good. Hurrying up's not good. But look what else that option B gives us. Work as safely as possible. How can you hurry up and work as safely as possible? What does work as safely as possible mean? Are we not diminishing the risk? If you've watched videos 1 and 2, remember that we spoke a lot about diminishing the risk, accepting too much risk because we've made it small. I don't like this. It's not good, but I'll work as safely as possible. So in B, we're diminishing, so hurrying and diminishing the risk, not good, so probably B's out, yeah? Let's look at C. Take time and complete the task, and then speak to your supervisor about better planning. Now C sounds good, doesn't it? Take your time, think about the job. But hey, we're human. Will we be able to take our time and work slowly? Remember, you're upset. You've been late 4 nights in a row. You're probably angry about things. You're hungry. And you're saying, take your time and work slowly. It sounds good, but it's a pretty tall order to get human beings to be so disciplined. But look what else we're saying in C. We're going to plan better later. Now, is planning better tomorrow going to help you today? Not really, is it? So there again is another example of diminishing the risk. We're accepting the risk because I'll plan better next time. That's not going to help us today. So I think C, probably not good. What about D? Go and have dinner and then come back. Now, that's good. You are good people. We do the best we can to help the job progress. We do the best for the company. We are willing to do this. But is it a good idea? Now, it might be. But imagine if you work in a place which is pretty cold and it's snowing outside. You come inside, you take off your coveralls, your boots, you get comfortable, you have a nice meal, it's nice and warm. Then you have to move from there to put on all the PPE again and go outside into the snow. Where will your mind be? Will you be able to concentrate? Will you be in a good state to do this job? So, although that's a possibility, and we're good people, we will try and do that if necessary, I think D is not a good idea either. We're moving from a very comfortable, relaxed situation to gearing up our mind to do this complicated job. So I think I would settle on A. Why not? But let's take a worst case scenario. Say you do ask to put the job off till tomorrow. What if the supervisor is not listening and he or she says, no, you can't, I want it finished tonight so we can do something else tomorrow? Are we not back to the situation where someone is not understanding and you have to be brave enough to say, well, look, I'm sorry, let's get someone else involved here and see what we can do because I'm not prepared to continue doing this job tonight in these conditions. If you continue, you'll get hurt. The fear factor comes up again, doesn't it? You are afraid to say to the supervisor, no, I'm not doing it under these conditions. But of course the supervisor should be listening to his or her people, what they're saying. And if a guy wants to stop a job and do it later and there's no rush, why not? So again, in the terrible rare circumstance where a supervisor insists that you continue, even though you've said you think it's unsafe, the only thing we can do is go higher up. Get someone else involved to help us. That's the right thing to do. That's what you should do. Good. So again, from one simple scenario, we can learn a lot about our risk tolerance and the way we should be behaving to work even more safely.